Very proud of our kids. The resiliency, the way that they hung in there, not just today, but all week. When you get into a situation and very well documented, we dug ourselves a hole. We dropped a few games we probably thought we could have, should have won in Tiani's absence. But throughout the whole time, just our preparation, the attitude in the locker room, everyone was still on board, knowing what we could be. And I think I made a statement. And I said I didn't like where we were, but I was excited about where we were going to go. And these kids stepped up, they locked in, they never wavered with their preparation, with their execution. And this was a really good week for us as a whole, but that was particularly a good outing for us today. So very proud of these two. A lot of people made tremendous contributions, and that's how we have to win. It's a team effort.
We'll get started with Phoenix and and then we'll go to Larry, and then we'll go to Caroline.
Coach Hill was talking about how she thought the main difference in the game was really Amelia's shot making and Asia's shot making. Just what do you think you got from those two?
Yeah, exactly that. Both of them do a tremendous job of stretching the floor. We become a lot different, and you know what? Shout out to everyone with their adjustments and the starting lineups that we made. Their mentality from Asia. Asia, if you ask Asia Boone, she would prefer coming off the bench. And we inserted her to the starting lineup. It's given us 2 games where we've gotten off to really good starts. She stretches the floor. Amelia stretches the floor. And then give kudos to Jordan Obi with her positive energy when she comes in off the bench. And so everybody has been receptive to it. But when those two are making shots, when they're making shots, we're a pretty tough team to guard, because obviously it opens up things for her, and it opens up the lane for Tonie. And then we become very well constructed. And but it is they're a big difference in how we play.
Larry and then Caroline.
Kenny, it was really good coaching when they cut it to 6 and you decided to just go to Clara there 4 or 5 times in a row, just let her score each time. That must have taken a lot of thinking on your part.
Yeah, you know what? We've been saying it all week. Good things happen when we get the basketball to her, and we know what the game plan is on her, and everyone's trying to execute pretty much the same thing. And we worked on a few things of just getting the basketball to her, and she's not conventional where she has to get it on the block, and she can step off the block a little bit. But she allowed herself to be a big presence. It was easier to get her the basketball in those areas, and it was, even when they cut it to 6, it got a little dicey, but they never wavered, and we executed, got the basketball to her, and she delivered. So very proud of her, and she's working extremely hard, and I think she'll be the first one to tell you that she loves the fact that Tiani's back. It opens up a lot for her and allows her to just do her job, where I thought she was in Tiani's absence. I thought she was trying to do her job and a little bit of what Tiani brought to us, and now she's able to relax.
Caroline, Brad, John.
Tony, will you speak to how you've seen Asia develop over the course of the season?
She just gets more confident every game. She has a smile on her face every time she just hits a shot. She's just been so happy lately. But I'm going to keep feeding her. We're going to keep finding her. She keeps knocking her down. We're just so proud of her.
Claire, from me, I just want, one of my favorite was the ball fake and the blow by there. I just want to ask you about that and taking over the game kind of when they cut it to 6. But the ball fake and blow by, that was great. I loved it. Just wanted to ask what you've been working on and if you like that move.
She blocked my shot a few times. And at halftime, Coach Bruce told me that I should have ball faked and went to the basket, so that's what I did.
I think I've got Caroline, or I got Brad, Josh, okay, John, Dick, yeah, John and then Dick, I'm sorry.
Yeah, Kenny, Coach O was great. You've got a tough act to follow, but she said she did not like playing in the SEC tournament. What are your thoughts on that?
She said that?
Yeah, she did.
Can I say that? What did I hear? Big Ten football was they were proposing or something about a 2014 playoff and no conference championship games.
Yeah.
Did I hear that? Am I making that up?
No, you're right.
It's brutal. It really is. It is brutal, but it also gives the champion something to really understand that was an accomplishment. To go to that tournament And to have to win 5 games in 5 days or 4 games in 4 days or whatever it is, it's tough. You have to be built for it. I don't think it's ever going to go away because I think it's such a wonderful time for the fans, for the fans. So I think it's probably more enjoyable for the fans than it is for us coaches because we know just what we're going to endure during that weekend. It's going to be physical basketball, and you don't get 2 or 3 days to recover. It's the next night, and then it's the next night, and then it's the next night. And then, all the while you're trying to make sure that you're really in tip-top shape physically, health-wise, to go into what's, the most important, and that's the NCAA tournament. So I understand her sentiment, and Yo's a little bit more outlandish than I am, and she just kind of says what she wants to say all the time. But I think it's in my contract, but I can't say it, so I love the SEC tournament. But man, it is hard, it is. And I understand what people think, and if you gave me a true serum pill, I might say something different, but SEC tournament.
Date Caroline Larry.
Kenny, turnovers were even tonight, and you had points off turnovers. It was just about the difference on the scoreboard. Why is that?
I don't know. I don't know. I'm an analytical person to a certain point, but I think it stops when it starts reading stuff like that. Just take care of the basketball. The thing that I looked at the most was the rebounding. And we went there last, and I was almost embarrassed to tell the kids, but last year we went there and they had 27 offensive rebounds. And we kind of ingest, I told them they did a really good job this game because they held them to 18, so that was an improvement. But you have to understand your opponent, you have to understand the situation, and I'm not dodging your question, but this one's probably more important to me, what I was thinking about. It just looked like they had like 115 offensive rebounds today. And a lot of it came during the second half when, they had a level of desperation. They get down by a lot. They're not going to continue to play conservatively. They do a lot of isolation plays for Lattimore, for McMahon, and the others know that when the shot goes up, or essentially when the other two have the basketball, that they need to go get a rebound. And they did a really good job of that. We got into foul trouble. At one point, one of my assistants looked at me and she said, Tonie, Tonie, and Clara have 3 fouls in the third quarter. Let that sink in. As a coach, when somebody tells you that Tonie, Clara, and Tonie have 3 fouls, and I'm just like, we're hanging on to the 4th so that we can start playing regular again. But I'm very proud of our kids. Something we have talked about, the turnovers against Vanderbilt, I think it was. We had 20-plus turnovers, but they were of the variety. They were live ball turnovers, and they were getting opportunities, and they had like 25 points off of those turnovers. So that's something that we've been talking about. It's not, you're going to have turnovers against good teams that pressure you. They pressure her the whole game. They press the whole game. So you're going to have some mishaps. You just have to have them of a variety that they're not live ball. They're not what you would call pick sixes. Okay, let the defense set up as a dead ball turnover. So that is something that we can talk about.
Caroline Larry, Brad Ethan.
Coach, you now have back-to-back point guards who have reset the record for single season assists. Congrats, Tonie. Obviously, it's a testament to both Georgia and to Tonie, but this record has stood since 1981-82. Is that a testament to your system, to the way the game has changed? What do you see in that?
I think a little bit of both.
Okay.
And I take credit for that because I'm able to put great point guards in that situation. She was a great point guard at Georgia Tech. She just didn't have the ball in her hand as much. And, coming here, I think that was part of the reason that she wanted to come here. The ball was going to be in her hand more, and she was going to be a facilitator. And that's something that's added an element to her game that, is very attractive to the next level. That's one of the reasons why she wanted to come. That's one of the reasons why we were able to get Madden, who's a McDonald's All-American, to play in that type of system. It's the way that I loved. I wish I could have played. It's the way that I love to play. It's basically like a Steve Nash type, where a lot of teams will kick the ball up, right? And I had to take that out of her game a little bit. Kick it up if they're wide open, right? But I would rather her dribble it across half court and then make the decision for someone to just catch and shoot, instead of kicking it up to players. And again, it goes the way we're constructed. You kick it up to our players, I don't know what's gonna happen, and I don't. But I know if she's bringing it across the floor, I know what's gonna happen, and if we can kick it out to our shooters that they can shoot, or she gives it to her with 1 or 2 dribbles, good things will happen. And she did a tremendous job. You know, I've said it a million times, you know, just her ability, her willingness to be receptive to whatever I said without argument. And I don't want that to come off as if she doesn't have a say in what we do. She has a big say in what we do, right? But we really get on the same page really quickly, and then we go with it. And we've been able to work on a lot of different things. But she's been as good, better than I could ever imagine in a transition year after having 50 years with Georgia, and then coming and only having a few months with Tonie. And she's been the one that's been receptive and it really made this thing work as well as it's working.
Larry.
Kenny, with your kind of lack of depth, do you work on taking charges with Asia in practice? Do you cringe when she takes them in a game and just as soon as she not take a big shot or two every game like that?
I cringe when all of them have any kind of collision, you know. This one, I had to teach that when she fell, I'm like, get up, man, because I'm having a little mini heart attack while you're on the ground. Get up, let me know you're okay. All right, so she did it. But like, it goes back to toughness, mental toughness. We don't do any charge drills. I never have. You know, you either got it or you don't. And she has it. You know, she has ability. This one will fake one every now and then. You know, you either have it or you don't. But they do a really good job of protecting themselves. Like we'll do stuff in practice where they're not allowed to dive on the floor. All right, think about that. You know, how many coaches love kids getting on the floor and diving? We don't. They have a thing that when they get close to the ball, they'll just say dive, and then I'll award them the ball just because we don't want those collisions on the floor. But Asia does a tremendous job. I think her defense is underrated. I didn't know she could play defense like she could. And she allows her to stay off the ball sometimes, and all the while we still expect her to come down and make every shot that she takes.
Brad, you can pick.
This one's for the girls. The play for K, you get to wear the pink. I just want to know from you, the girls in the locker room, what did y'all think of the fit today?
I love the color pink. So I think it's super cute, and I think we should wear it more games.
I second that.
Did the whole team like it?
Yeah.
Oh, they all get little fancy shoes. And,
Ethan, Dick.
Coach, back-to-back good starts, good first halves, kind of took the breath out of the past 2 teams. What have you guys done over the last 2 games to get off to 2 hot starts, and then what can you do moving forward to make sure that keeps happening?
And I don't want you guys to take this as a negative, but I think the lineup change really helped. You know, because when, and to no fault of Jordan's, we didn't know where to put her. Jordan was playing at the 4 when Tiani was out. Tiani comes back, we put her back at the 2. People weren't really playing her out there. It was really clogging up the lane for everybody, and we were kind of figuring it out, you know, as the game was starting. And then we would put Asia in the game, and then it kind of would open up a little bit. When we made the decision to switch it, it was so that Jordan could see it in her first reps in the game were at the 4. And then Asia being out there, which I alluded to earlier at the beginning, really opens everything up, and everybody has to, they are running down the floor, they gotta find Amelia and Asia, and then before you know it, she's driving, getting a layup, or she's kicking to one of them, getting a shot. And so that just gives us a better flow, and it makes people have to play us differently right from the start. And then from there, then we'll make adjustments. But it's been something that has been really good for us. It has been able because Asia, as Tonie mentioned, her confidence is continuing to rise, and she has a green light. Asia came from Liberty, mid-major, averaged 10 points a game. She comes to Kentucky, playing in the SEC. She plays more minutes. She gets more shots. She averages more points. And you know that's the American dream. That's the transfer dream. and you know, but you know, you didn't anticipate that. She just went out and she took it. And because we never told her not to shoot. And then when somebody can shoot that well with all the other weapons around, you know, she has a green light.
Dick, and then we'll end with Caroline. Oh, Dick, Caroline, Connor, and then
Clara, Ole Miss is known as a physical team, obviously, and they were today, especially in the second half. and you were playing through contact all day. And I know it's not new for you, especially in the SEC. How do you prepare yourself every night for that? Your teammates are out there spotting up, shooting threes, and you're in there getting double teamed and hanging around. How do you prep yourself for that mentally and emotionally?
Yeah, I mean, I think going into it, like, you know, every team in the SEC is physical. I don't think there's a team that's not. So I think you just have to battle like that with like my strengths. I'm obviously not as strong as other people, but I have length, so I can get around people, things like that. But I think, like you said, like I know every game is going to be physical, so I think you can't go into it expecting it not to be.
Did it get frustrating at all?
Sometimes. But I mean, I think frustration just kind of makes you better, it makes you more aggressive, it makes you faster, things like that, so use it to your advantage.
She and I'll add to this, and Tonie probably can attest to it as well. She's tough. She's really tough. She doesn't shy away from anything. You know, where her build might be different, and she said she's not as strong. She is as strong as anybody. Her build might be different, and so, but she learns how to, you know, use her body, play. She has a determination that, you know, you can't teach. She just has it, and that really is something that fuels her. And she plays through it, you know, without complaint, and she just goes to the next play, and that's something that I admire, because I don't know if I could do that, you know, because you just feel, you know, sometimes you feel like it's excessive or unnecessary, but she continues to play through it.
Caroline Connor.
Coach, after the game, saw you exchange a hug and a conversation with Quentin Hillsman. If you wouldn't mind, could you share a little bit about whatever you talked about?
That's my guy. You know, he and I, he's probably my best friend in the business, and you know, we grew up in this business together. You know, he got an opportunity for Syracuse, took that team to a Final Four, and he was one of the people that kind of advised me or would talk to me when I was at James Madison as mid-major. And you know, obviously being an African American male coach in women's basketball, it wasn't a whole lot of opportunities that were given. And when I took the job at Virginia Tech, he and I were the only two African American males in Power 4 or Power 5 at that time. And so we lean on each other. We probably talk about, we didn't talk this week, but we probably talk about, you know, once or twice a week. And we're actually in a group chat with a couple of other African American male coaches, Darnell Haney from Georgetown, Terrell Robinson's at North Carolina A&T, Huey, who's now an assistant at Virginia, who used to be at Houston, and we talk all the time. And those guys, I credit those guys. When I was at Virginia Tech, we would do a podcast, and they would talk about defense. And every time they would talk about defense, you would just see my attention span, and I'm like, you know, okay, when are we gonna start talking about offense? But we talked so much during COVID. That I'm like, well, maybe I should try this defense thing and see if I can just try to get a little better at it. And we did. And when we did at Virginia Tech, we started being one of the elite teams because we could play on both ends of the floor. Now I do it a lot differently than they do, but you know, he's a big supporter of mine. I'm a big supporter of his, and we converse, you know, a lot. And so I really owe him a lot because he really helped me navigate my path to get to this level.
This is for all three of you, kind of give a coach and player perspective, but Coach Yo talked a lot about the energy, you know, coming out in these games, especially games like this that have seeding implications as we get closer to March. So how's it kind of preparing for these big games? Obviously, you all mentioned physical league, obviously probably one of the better leagues, if not the best in the country. But I mean, how you all kind of prepare for these games where the wins kind of mean more than just another W in the column?
Every game matters. You can't take any day off, even if it's in practice. You have to approach every game kind of like it's the last and know that we have to show up every day or you could end up in a hole.
I mean, energy is something that we talked about from, I think, day one. I think in our games that we did drop a few, I think that was one of our biggest issues, is we're not bringing the energy throughout the whole game. And so I think that's something that helped us get out like to the hot start today, is how much energy we've been bringing in practice every day and how much we're carrying it over now to our games. Just celebrating each other and being there for each other is really what kind of builds the energy. And then I think the crowd feeds off that, and then we feed off the crowd back. So I think that's been really helpful for us.
For me, it's really obviously with the situation, the way that it's happened. We didn't have Tiani and we lost a few games. As a coach, my whole focus was not about seeding. You know, last year about this time it was, you know, because we were looking for a double bye. You know, we were one of those teams, we got a double bye. And now, because of everything that's happened, it's really made me lock in and stay in the moment. All right, and to really just try to get this team to be good, playing our best basketball at the right time. And it wasn't about seeding. Not that I don't care about the SEC tournament, but you know, it's more about, you know, hey, let's get us together, because this is a team. This is a team right here that, with the right amount of luck, right amount of everything, we can make a run. You know, because we can play with anyone. We can play with anyone, and that's what you want. And it's about matchups and getting to that point. And so, it was an easy job to keep them on the right path. You know, they're constantly, hey, how do we get better? Can we get shots? Can we watch film? Can we do those things? And we knew it was just a matter of time before we would get our chemistry. So that's our approach. That's been our approach, and it's been easy to keep them on path.
Thank you all so much.
I got one more thing I want to say. And obviously, this is the pink game, play for K, however you want to channel it. And you know, for a long time, it's always been about awareness. You know, putting on the pink uniforms, getting us some new shoes, hoping, you know, you're praying for people on the outside. And so for me, it hit home 2 years ago when my wife got diagnosed with cancer. And I think the biggest thing that I learned from everything is the awareness, it's the support. You know, a lot of times we look at it and say, okay, well, I don't know anybody who has cancer, or I don't have as much money to donate. But there's so many ways that we can help support. And the biggest support that I had was in a manner of, you know, just people coming and being supportive to me. And when my wife got diagnosed and I would go to her chemo treatments, part of me was trying to be coach there for her, supportive for her, but part of me was still in denial. And I would go and I would listen to the doctor, and he would start talking, and I was intently trying to figure out what he was saying, and about halfway through it, it became like Charlie Brown's teacher. It was like, well, wah, 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 wah. And I just lost it because I was in denial. What got me through it was Chrissy's sister, April Dedamore, was at every treatment for every second and wrote notes every day. And she would give them to me, and even when I wasn't paying attention, I would have those notes, and that was the support that I needed. My daughter was at every one, and together we got through it. And so for us to be able to bring awareness to this, you know, and everybody can, you know, step up, and even if you can't donate, you know, monetarily, you know, just being supportive and helping people get through it. And an inspiration, I talked about this the other day, and I get chill bumps right now because she's in the room. Monica Lakovich, okay, sent me an email. Monica's right there. She sent me an email on Thursday, and she talked about my story, listening to my story, and how it inspired her. And it inspired her because she got diagnosed with cancer, and her goal was to fight through this cancer and to get back to this game, to help bring awareness to it. And that was her goal. And I don't know how it inspired her, and maybe it was something to help her get up in the morning or be positive, but her goal was to get to this game. She told me about chemo brain, all right, and she said she bought tickets to the wrong game. She brought them on Thursday. And I know all about chemo brain because my wife would go through and she would forget what we had for lunch that day. And it's real. It's real. And so we were very fortunate to be able to reach back out to her, get her back here today. But the main thing I can tell her is she said we inspired her. She inspired me that day, put a calm over me that day. And it's something that I just felt. And we're going to play for her. You know, we're going to play for all the people who have suffered, not just the people who are actually going through it, but their families. And that email that she sent me, I'm getting it framed and it's going in my man cave, you know, because it's as big as any trophy that I've ever gotten, any award, any accolade, you know, and that's what life is really about. So Monica, thank you for inspiring us. It's a great day. I hope you enjoyed the game, and I hope we gave you something to cheer about.
Thank you all so
Go
much.
Cats.
We'll see you in a